what happens when banking runs on chain. No more jumping between apps, no more friction between crypto and fiat. You've got one system, one flow. Here, we explore a real application of UR's borderless banking network. Hey, welcome to Taking Shape, a podcast about companies, products, and ideas that are actively being built, not finished, not polished into a case study, but right now in real time. My name is Francesca. I'm CMO at UR, and I'm coming in at this from a world of on-chain finance, where the rails of the next generation of financial infrastructure are being laid one partnership, one product, and one tricky compliance conversation at a time. Every episode, I sit down with someone who's actually in the middle of building something that we believe in. And we talk about things like what it's going to look like, the decisions, the pivots, the things that are just starting to click. And this is the pilot episode. And I couldn't think of any better person to kick things off with than my guest today. Antonio Liu is VP of Product at TopNod, a self-custody wallet built specifically for RWAs, with a big focus on making Web3 genuinely accessible to everyday users. Now, we just launched something that I'm pretty excited about, so I want to get right into it. Antonio, welcome to Taking Shape. Why don't you say hi to everyone?
All right. Hi, friend. And hi, everyone. This is Antonio. I'm currently the VP of Product at TopNod, a self-custody wallet that is built for everyone and for everyday users. Well, before TopNod, I was actually came from an engineering background where I was a researcher and also a student at UC Berkeley in crypto and computer algorithms. And starting in around 2016, 2017, I started to notice Web3, where there is a brand new world that is reshaping the online financial infrastructure. I have seen people who are using stablecoin to enable cross-border transaction compared to what they did for 20 days in the past. They can do that within seconds. And I have seen all different infrastructure, including have been through DeFi summer, who have seen NFTs, who have seen nowadays who are seeing RWAs. So it is really an exciting journey where we're seeing today Web3 is still evolving, it's progressing, and it is changing how we are interacting with online financing. So I'm really glad to be here today to talk more about where we are going, what we are building, and potentially what we can bring to our clients and users.
Yeah, RWAs are such a buzzy term right now. Everyone's talking about it, but I feel like a lot of people still aren't very sure about what that actually means in their day-to-day life. So how does TopNod make it real for your users?
From our perspective, RWAs are the assets that has real-world usages or real-world the underlying assets. Well, compared to we'll say native cryptocurrencies like Dogecoin or like Bitcoin or Ether. So those are cryptos that are still very valuable, but that's like native Web3 crypto. And for RWA, we're exploring into a field somewhere between traditional finance and the crypto world. For example, tokenized gold. So gold is actually a physical asset. Well, we do have Web2 version of gold, and now we are actually turning the digital gold one more step forward into Web3 version of gold, tokenized gold. I have seen Paxos and Tether who are taking a lot of progress on this. And we are also seeing, for example, Ondo, who is doing tokenized stock. Ondo is turning a lot of US stocks on-chain so that we're able to purchase those tokenized stocks directly with stable coins. We're also seeing tokenized money market fund or institutional bond or private credit. Basically, we are bringing Web2 asset on-chain into Web3 so that on-chain liquidity can actually access those Web2 assets. So by RWA, we mean those assets who has a real-world Web2 backup as the underlying asset. So that's how we define RWAs.
Let's talk a little bit about security. When you talk about security, you usually want it to be invisible so that it just works and people don't have to think about it, right? One thing I'm really curious about is that TopNod is on Solana and Stellar, and that's definitely not a random combination, right? What was the thinking behind choosing those two networks?
Well, I think I'll frame that into two different questions. First is on security end, and second is on the choice of the networks. So on the security end, as you were just suggesting, we want security to be, well, invisible. And in traditional cryptography, there is a conflict between security and user experience. Usually, it is a little bit hard to reach them both because a more secure system usually means the user has to put more efforts into understanding it, and also into the operations. So the way how TopNod handled this, we actually implemented a sharding mechanism where we are able to shard users' secret key into 3 shards. And all those 3 shards are actually stored in different locations, different places. The first shard is in users' local device. So users physically control it. The second shard is actually on an institutional grade server where it is secure, it is unhackable by it's like institutional grade protected. And the third shard is actually on a trusted execution environment that we built with Intel. So basically it's in a physical device powered by Intel. And the way how to use your secret key is actually by combining all 3 shards, actually 2 out of the 3 shards together, so that you are able to reconstruct the private key and to sign the transactions. Well, it may sound a little bit complicated when I'm trying to describe it, but actually this is invisible to users. So we are able to encapsulate this complicated security model so that when users register, what they see is a registration where they enter their email. And this feels just like how they register all other Web2 applications. So they enter the email, they receive a verification code, they enter their password, and done. And our software handles all those complicated security concepts behind the scenes so that users do not need actually to feel all those complicated sharding mechanism. For our users, they don't even need to understand the secret key. They can just come, sign up, and use it. And the way you were mentioning Solana and Stellar, the reason why we are working with Solana and Stellar very closely is about one, the assets on chain, two, the user experiences. For the assets on chain, Solana and Stellar both focus very heavily on real world assets, and they do have a lot of asset issuers have issued their assets on chain already. So for us, what we want to bring is actually more choices for our users. So we chose to integrate Solana and Stellar so that users can actually access those assets on chain. And secondly, user experience. For Solana and Stellar, we are also able to integrate the chain natively also with our gasless experience. So when users come to Solana or Stellar or other networks, TopNod actually supports a gasless experience where users do not need to worry about gas. As long as they have stable coins in their wallet, they are able to build any transactions they want.
Yeah, it always boils down to a smooth user experience. I mean, that's what I personally look out for whenever I pick between different products and different apps. But let's get into what I'm most excited to talk about today, which is the co-branded Mastercard, the TopNod and UR card. And I'm obviously a little bit biased here because this is something that we built together. But Antonio, take me through it from your side. What was the thinking behind this collaboration? What problems were you trying to solve with this? And was it at all user related?
Of course, this actually echoes with why we started TopNod and why we chose RWA. Before, the on-chain world and the off-chain world are a little bit separated. So when users complete their on-ramp, when they bring their fiat currency into Web3, their funds stay in Web3, no matter it is DeFi or no matter it is on-chain protocols, decentralized exchanges or centralized exchanges or other protocols, it still stay in the blockchain. And the existence of RWA actually opens up a new possibility where those funds are actually flowing from Web3 back into Web2. And in Web2, we are building a lot of different things. We're building infrastructures. We're building physical infrastructure like solar panels, charging stations, or they are into money market funds or institutional bonds that are, again, used to build something physical, something tangible. So that is the barrier we're trying to break. And now with the collaboration with UR Bank, we are actually moving one step further. So the thing we are trying to solve is we want to break the boundary between Web2 and Web3. There shouldn't be like differences between Web2 and Web3. By the end of the day, this is called the internet. If I were a user, as long as I have funds on the internet, I should be able to spend it. However, traditional Web3 world doesn't really allow this. You cannot really go into a McDonald's and say, hey, I want to pay with USDC or USDT. However, you can walk into McDonald's and say, hey, I want to pay with Visa card or Mastercard. And that's where this collaboration comes into real use cases. Users can actually have their funds, their crypto in TopNod, and they can open up a UR Bank card, and they can use this card just as their everyday usage card, and they can consume. And now their funds in Web3 does now stay in Web3. They can use it to buy anything they want. They can walk into McDonald's, they can buy a coffee, they can even use the card to book a flight ticket or book hotels, just like how we are using with like traditional everyday card. And that's the most important part of this collaboration. We want to break this boundary. And vice versa, users can also bring their funds from Web2 into Web3 with our collaboration. So this opens up all those new possibilities where we are breaking the boundary between Web2 and Web3. And essentially, I want to call this internet. So users have their funds, no matter it is cryptocurrency or it is fiat currency, as long as they have funds on the internet, they are able to spend with TopNod and UR Bank collaboration.
Yeah, and you bring up such a very important point in that everything should be seamless, but the gap is so obvious once you see it, right? And like you've got your digital assets sitting in your wallet, and then you've got your physical life, things like buying coffee from McDonald's, like you said, paying for things online. And there's this huge gap in between, but the card closes that gap. But from a product standpoint, what was the hardest part of making this work?
I would say the hardest part is how should I present this to users? Because in traditional Web3 wallet, when you go into the wallet, you see networks. You first need to choose if you're on Ethereum or if you're on Solana, if you're on other network. Then you see a list of cryptocurrencies. But now when we want to close the gap, we want to break the boundary, we need to have a natural way for users to view their funds, for users to view their card. So actually in TopNod, we do have different sections, and we do not design the wallet as a traditional Web3 wallet. We more design it as a Web2 application. So in the application, there is a My Wallet page. It's not like traditional Web3 wallet. It's just My Wallet. Your currencies, your funds are in the wallet, and the wallet actually includes your on-chain fund and your off-chain fund. So in the wallet, you can actually see the card itself directly, and you can interact with the card directly in that wallet on the topmost part. So that gives a very smooth user experiences, because when they come into the wallet, if they want to spend with a card, they can see the card, they can add the card. Also, we have integrated with Apple Pay, so users can click on the card and add the card directly into Apple Pay, so that when they want to use the card, they can just use it from Apple Pay directly. So for us, the most important thing and also the hardest thing is all those seamless user experience experience, how we are able to present this to users, how users can basically click and add the card into their everyday payment channel. And gladly we have done it. And we have seen users start applying for a card, and we also have seen in our backend, I've seen users already start using the card.
And I've seen the interface itself. It looks very clean, very intuitive, and easy to follow. When people are spending in fiat using the app, there's a conversion, right, happening in the background. Is that invisible to the user, or do they actually see what's happening on screen?
We want to make it as invisible as possible, but for key decisions, users still to do it on their own. Well, the one key decision that's tangible and visible for users is the conversion from crypto into fiat. So because they have to choose, which crypto I want to convert and which fiat I want to receive. So I guess that's the only unavoidable situation where users do need to actually choose between a list of different cryptocurrencies and a list of different fiat currencies, and to make the decision like what they want to spend and what they want to receive.
Cool. And when you were looking into things like that, adding a card and adding fiat rails to TopNod, what were you looking for in a partner?
So to be honest, we actually have talked to different partners, but we chose your bank because from two different perspectives. One will be on technical and user experience, because you are actually provided a very sophisticated integration documentation where our tech team is very easy to understand what we need to do in order to integrate out the system. And also UR has a complete ecosystem where we are able to, for example, add the card to Apple Pay, where we are able to choose, but we are able to convert between different cryptocurrencies into different fiat currencies. That's on one end. On the other end is compliance. Actually, we have our internal legal team reviewed all those documentations, all those materials multiple times, and I think UR has a very unique approach where we are actually interacting with a Swiss bank, which is very trustworthy and it is very compliant. So basically, for users, they can use the card without worries, because they know essentially this is a compliant institution that is providing basically institutional level service for users, so that they can use the card directly without any worries.
Yeah, we talk a lot actually about compliance being a feature and not a tax. Like the fact that KYC, AMLs, they're all built in isn't a burden. And it's the very thing that unlocks access to regulated markets, right? Does that resonate with how you think about it?
Yes, of course. Because essentially, TopNod wants to build something under compliance. So the RWA, from the RWA issuers that we're working with, they are licensed RWA issuers and they are issuing compliant assets. And all the way to UR services, we have built-in AML, we have built-in KYC functionalities. And of course, when we want our users to use their funds, no matter either to consume it or to invest it either on-chain or off-chain, we want our users to feel safe. I want them to know that they are using a product that they do not need to worry about potential compliance issues or AML issues potentially brought by local governments or regulators. And I think UR has done an excellent job on that. UR has handled everything nicely, smoothly, so that for us, when integrating with UR, we also have this smooth integration experience where we are able to sort out all the potential questions we have, and we have a very well-rounded answer from UR in terms of compliance, in terms of technical integration, in terms of security and the user experiences.
I do want to zoom out for a second and noting that there is a narrative in crypto that's been around for years. We're talking about mass adoption coming, and I noticed that it never quite arrives, right? Do you think that we're actually at an inflection point right now, or do you think it's still to come?
I think we are. I have read a private research report recently, that we actually matched the growth curve in terms of number of users between Web3 and Web2. And interestingly, those two curves match almost exactly. So if we are following what happened 30 years ago when Web2 started, comparing it where Web3 is standing at right now, I feel we are at a point where massive adoption is about to come. Nowadays, the things happening in Web3 reminded me of what happened 30 years ago when Web2 came into space. At that time, there were HTTP protocol, there were DNS, there were IPv4, IPv6, all those jargons, those technical jargons. It's very similar to today. We are having secret key, we're having gas, we're having staking, restaking, swapping, bridging, all those things. That means we are at a point where infrastructure is ready, but application still has some time, some way to go. We have done the hardest part, the infrastructure. We have all those wonderful infrastructure from public blockchains to on-chain smart contracts to DeFi ecosystem to lending protocols to staking protocols to bridging protocols. We have done all those protocols. Those are exactly as HTTPS or IPv4 or DNS protocols in Web2 setups. And now we are encapsulating all those complicated concepts, and we are coming up with products that are able to encapsulate these concepts and present users with a direct and intuitive path. So we are now building this product, and I believe a lot of other projects in the market, they are also building similar products that are basically hiding all those complications for users and leaving only the intuitive part for the users. And when those products start to emerge, that's where mass adoption will come. And as you're asking, I think, yes, this is the right time. And I'm glad that this is the right time for all of us. And I believe in the next couple of years, we will see mass adoption for traditional, now we still call them Web2 users, but in a couple of years, we'll just call them users. So we'll see users coming in and to use all those infrastructure and all those applications we're building.
When talking about users, what's the thing that surprised you most about users? Like, what do they do with TopNod that you totally didn't expect at all?
So you actually will never expect what users do with the product. One very interesting case, I was talking to my friend someday. He's using TopNod every day. I was asking, why? Are you a trader? He says, no. But he's using TopNod to check Bitcoin price and gold price at the same time. And he says that's probably one of the few apps that offer both in the same user interface. So that's something I find very interesting. So users now, they are not limited to like an only Web2 user or an only Web3 users. As I was saying, users are users. So they have a lot of choices. Now we have users who are investing in gold and Bitcoin at the same time. And that's also the reason why we're building a wallet that is focusing on RWAs, because we think for users, especially for users who has a lower risk appetite, they would like to look for a lot of different assets on-chain or off-chain. And on-chain, they will be looking for Bitcoins, they'll be looking for Ethereum, probably not meme coins, but like the mainstream cryptocurrencies. At the same time, they will also be interested in, for example, US stock. They might be interested in money market fund or crude oil or gold or silver or other products. So I think there should be a product where integrates all those user demands and make that into one user interface so that when those users come, they have a place to get started.
I love that. That's exactly what I do with the TopNod app. I look at Bitcoin and gold at the same page, and that satisfies everything in just a few seconds. What's one thing that people get wrong about self-custody wallets, a misconception that you keep running into?
before, self-custody usually means you have control over a lot of things. And that sometimes means you have too much control over too many things. So an interesting example, when I was trying to introduce Web3 to my friends, that was like 3 or 4 years ago, the first thing when they come is you're asking, what is a blockchain? What is the difference between Ethereum, between Solana, between or Stellar? And I try to explain to them. Then when they come on chain, they ask, how do I get my funds on chain? How do I complete on-ramp? So there's some complications. So eventually they got USDC on chain. Then they want to buy something, they see something, and they ask, wait, why can't I initiate a transaction? So I told them there's gas. And what the heck is gas? So I explained to them. Then after gas, they say, okay, I went to Uniswap and tried to buy a token, but I find tokens with the same name. There are like 6-7 different tokens with the same name. Which one should I buy? And I tell them, well, this is the Onchain smart contract you're looking for. There is a hexadecimal string that you need to check before you make the purchase. And basically stop there. Say that it's too much complications. So traditional non-custodial wallet does enable you to check every step, to take a look at every detail, to make all those decisions by yourself. However, that's maybe something good for professionals, for like degens, we know how things work. But for a everyday user, for normal users who are just coming from Web 2 into Web 3, those are too complicated for them. The traditional solution was centralized exchange. You can go into Binance, you can go into Coinbase. Then all those user interface will look similar to Web 2. However, centralized exchange has a closed ecosystem. Basically, everything is on their centralized order book, is in their centralized ecosystem. So TopNod is actually taking a very unique approach. We are still a non-custodial wallet where we are an open ecosystem. We're able to connect to decentralized applications. We're able to connect to on-chain smart contracts, all those different protocols. However, we made some abstractions to help users to understand all those operations better. So we have a couple of levels of abstraction. First, we have chain abstraction, where when users come, they do not need to understand Ethereum or Solana or the networks, because when users come, they come for a reason. They probably do not come to view a chain. They come to find an asset, or they find an investment opportunity. So instead of presenting the chains, we present products to them, on-chain products, financial products, either a trading a token or a DeFi protocol. It's encapsulated into a product, so they do not need to feel the chains. Then we also abstract gas away, and that's the worst part, I think, when users come onto blockchain. So we do have a gasless system where, as long as users have cryptocurrency, has stablecoins in their wallets, we help them to pay the transaction gas, and they are able to actually initiate a transaction without having gas in the wallet, and that's a technical improvement. We also have several other encapsulations. Basically, when users come, it is still a non-custodial wallet, but they feel this is more of a Web 2 product. It's intuitive. They come, they know where to click. They come, they know where the action points are. When they click, they know they can see what is expected to be shown. Well, I would say traditional non-custodial wallet.
Okay, let's talk about what's next. What is TopNod thinking about next? What are you excited about building in, say, the next 12 months or so?
So we start from a non-custodial wallet. We call ourselves a non-custodial wallet, but eventually we want to build something more. The foundation could be a non-custodial wallet, but we want to build an on-chain super app. Now, when you go into TopNod, you can actually see 4 different tabs. There is the home tab, there is the trade tab, there is the earn tab, there is the wallet tab. So we are building more similarly from a Web2 perspective. The home tab should be a place where where you can explore. You can. We do have some customized algorithms where we want our users to see what they want to see, because in Web3, in Web2 and Web3, there are too many contents. Probably are not interested in all of the contents. So we want to have a recommendation algorithm where we are able to show what users are interested in, and we help them to filter all those contents and present what they want to see the best. And on the trading side, so of course we want to enable more and more trading pairs. Right now, we are working with a lot of partners, including like cross-chain aggregators like Li-Fi or other service providers. Essentially, we want users to be able to trade across all different blockchains as long as they have assets or they have stables on one chain and they find an asset that they are interested in on the other, they should be able to complete the trade with a couple of clicks. So that's on the trading side. Then on the earning side, we want users to have more choices. Right now, we have several products integrated already, including like Onchain protocol, like Maple. We also have some RWA earning protocols there already. So we want to expand this into an earning market where users can see lots of different products when they come into our earn section, and they can choose to invest in RWAs, they could invest in on-chain strategies, they could invest in potentially money market funds or institutional bonds or other potentially US stocks or anything they are interested in. Then finally, on the wallet side, as we were discussing, wallet does not mean a Web3 wallet. It actually means a wallet that holds all of your assets. So with our collaboration with UR, we are able to provide both on-chain cryptocurrencies and off-chain fiat currencies in this wallet section, where users are able to manage their assets, and they are also able to spend their assets when they go into the physical world. So basically, that's what we are building in the next 12 to 24 months, and we want TopNod to become the first stop when users come from Web2 into Web3.
What's something that you've been wanting to say publicly that hasn't come up yet?
I would say I want our users, when they come to TopNod, they do not consider TopNod as a Web3 product. I want to say it is a product, and it is built to serve users on the internet, and that's like the ultimate goal we are moving forward to. So I guess that's something I want to say to our users.
Great. And final question, where can people find TopNod? Is there anything specific you want listeners to do after this episode?
Yeah, of course. Well, that's a good question. So TopNod is actually now listed on Apple Store and Google Play. You can just go into App Store and Google Play and search TopNod, and you will see it there. And also we have released our Chrome extension on Chrome extension store. So when you want to use TopNod as an extension on your PC, you can also go into Chrome extension store and just search TopNod, and it will be there.
Perfect. Antonio, thank you so much for being the first guest on Taking Shape. Genuinely, I think you're building something that is so important, and I'm glad that we get to be a part of it. Yeah, to everyone listening, thank you so much for tuning in to our very first episode. This podcast is new, and we are figuring things out as we go, which feels appropriate given that we talk about things taking shape here. If you want to try TopNod, check out the links in the show notes. We'll drop it there. And if you've ever wondered how a wallet becomes a financial account, or how you go from holding assets to actually spending them, that's exactly what UR is built for. You can find us on our website. We will also be dropping the links below. We'll be back with more conversation soon. Until then, keep building.